Yes, good evening one and all, and no, I am not drunk. Well, I can't possibly see anything controversial or hypocritical here, can you? And before you all look at this rubbing your hands together with glee thinking, oh boy, Spoon's gonna have a field day with this one, yes, I am, but before we get into all of that, let's get down to brass tacks here, shall we? You guys do realize by now, well, hopefully anyway, the only thing that concerns leftists is power. They have no principles, no morals, no convictions, nothing whatsoever. 'Tis why they're walking drones of contradiction. And frankly, wandering about with such glaring quantities of vacant empty-headedness and lack of any coherent thinking makes me speculate on whether or not they should have any human rights at all. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself, and this could go dark rather quickly. But this nonsense right here, this diversity, inclusivity, representation, and all of that, that's all code for Operation Euro Erasure. They want to completely remove all trace of the European, and believe me, they will try and go for the Roman Empire. That is inevitable. 'Tis why they're destroying our history. Sun Tzu, the art of war. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Here's a reason why they use this approach is because we're superior. They can't rival us with a head-on attack, competing to forge a better civilization and narrative, because they don't have the talent to create anything better. They are bereft of any creative charm and no artistic vision to match ours, and so they must use crippling poison to pervert and blaspheme, siphoning out the superior quality like a bunch of parasitic leeches. Not to mention history doesn't favor them either, which, trust me, gnaws bitterly at their withered souls. Now, as is the case with all leftists, their true enemy is reality. They don't see humans as ones with a flawed nature that can be used to create greatness. No, they see humans as perfectible beings through nefarious tampering and social engineering. And the reason why is because they're soulless pagans with no appreciation for the divine. And yes, I said it, atheists are incapable of creating anything beautiful. Now here's a trick though, it's not really about the Euros, it's about the ideology, which is promulgated mainly by us, and so they figure remove the group entirely. This includes non-Euros as well, by the way, which we all know because the minute they stumble across any other race which doesn't like this BS, oh, these so-called enlightened liberals will spew racial slurs like a damn minigun with absolutely no sense of irony. Now as far as the race swapping goes, the language is important, swapping. It's not the creation of something new, it's the erasure of something already present. The distinction is very important. The fact that nothing is sacred speaks volumes about their ideology. Everything can be set on fire. Because the representation argument is a laughable joke, let's be real. Especially in this medium. Like here are some of my favorites that I remember playing. The Elder Scrolls Oblivion. First guard to the Emperor is a red guard, as is the recruiter to the Thieves Guild, and one of the quest givers to the Fighters Guild. Far Cry 3, the guy who helps you, Dennis, is from Liberia. Far Cry 4, the two potential antagonists are Kirati, and the main one, Pagan, is Chinese. In GTA 3, the first guy that helps spring you and gets you work is a black dude. In Vice City, you pal around with Lance. In Vice City Stories, you play as his brother. In San Andreas, you play as CJ. In 4, you play as the Eastern Euro Nico Bellic, and your best friend is the Jamaican guy Jacob. In 5, you play as Franklin. So to suggest that there's lacking representation in AAA gaming is a total farce. But look at this, responding to a mod that wiped out the only black representation among Baldur's Gate 3's companions, another modder has redesigned all the characters as black. Huh. Note the language there. When it's one guy, it's wiped out. But when the entire cast is wiped out, oh, it's reimagined. And then they wonder why everyone hates the media. Huh, curious. So let me get this straight. On a single-player game, you got so upset seeing the existence of a race-swapping mod, you decided to retaliate by diversifying the entire companion cast of the game. And then look at this Orwellian speak right here. Viewing the mod as a creative reimagining of one of my favorite games. Tell me he doesn't sound like a fucking Disney executive with that kind of BS. Creative reimagining. Yes, in the same way colonialism was architectural rejuvenation. But look at this. This comes from his Facebook post. However, it's clear that characters can be racially coded as black or white and so on. So when someone releases a mod that makes the sole black companion white, it feels very targeted. Even though it has nothing to do with you or your game, it's their game, their world. If you're thinking it's just a game, why does it matter? Representation in media impacts our perceptions of reality and inclusion, so yes, it does matter. Now hold on to that one, we're going to come back to that. No, I'm not obsessed with race. The act of making Will white is not world-ending, but when black representation continually sparks controversy, it becomes draining. Again, let me get this straight. You claim you aren't obsessed with race. Yes, you are. You were so offended by a mod that doesn't even impact your playing of a game set in a fictional world that only you can see, and you decided to mod in only your race, whilst also saying representation does matter after removing everyone that doesn't look like you. You aren't blowing smoke trying to peddle this pissweak propaganda here, pal. I don't even care about the mod, it's their own private property, they can do with it what they want. But I can't stand how these pillocks reek of hypocrisy trying to justify this bollocks. Secondly, the it becomes draining part. Let me explain this. You people, meaning leftists, you have allowed the elite to politicize your race because you're too stupid to understand power dynamics, and you sold your soul and now you're being used as pawns. People do not like politics, and now your very form represents politics. Not only politics, but politics people hate with a passion. Games I mentioned before, plenty of ethnic mixes. No one cared. Why? Because they were simply interesting characters in a fictional world. But now, thanks to your unnatural courtship with leftism, your form represents nothing but poison, an omen that signals poor quality and corrupted rot. Through repeated and undesired bludgeonings, we've come to see almost anything that isn't exclusively our kin as tainted with a scourge we'd rather avoid. Also, consider how this act looks symbolically, all things considered. The person who made the original mod with Will, I guarantee you that guy was motivated by the character representing politics, and we all know this. But even if he did harbor some ill will against the other, shall we say, you were so upset by him removing the one political representation from the game, you modded the entire companion cast to only represent you. You complained about one person being removed as targeting, and your response was to target everyone else. Your cries of representation rings completely hollow to the whistling sound of jaw-dropping hypocrisy. You aren't going to minimize that gentleman's supposed ill will, you're going to amplify it. The Euros have every right to gatekeep and hold their space exclusively to their own kin because all your rhetoric does is mask nefarious intentions. Like all leftists, they all come under the guise of sloganeering gimmicks and cheap tricks, all to disguise the Trojan horse designed to do nothing more than infiltrate, subvert, and conquer. Bollocks to you. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.